Good morning. It's September the 15th. Lovely fall morning. Well, not quite fall, but it feels like fall. I'm just on the microphone on the iPhone today because of my ongoing microphone struggles. The one I had yesterday, the lapel mic, didn't seem to be working very well anyway when I listened to it later, and it ran out of juice while I was walking, and it did not charge last night. So again, Winner brand, I can't recommend. So I have a new one coming. Well, I have it, but I need a little cable to make it work. I should get that tomorrow, possibly today. So in a couple of days, I hope to have this all sorted out and then not have a problem again with my external mic. So my plan for today is to walk through the cathedral area, just staying close to home. I've gone street by street, north to south. This time I'm going to walk east-west, so I'll get up here to College, walk west on College, then go up and walk east on 15th, then go west on 14th, and then come along 13th to finish. That's the plan. When I get back, it's an editing day. I'll be working with other people's words today, not my own. One thing that happened yesterday is that I had to change the name of a main character in my novel. My editor at Daw Books, Sheila Gilbert, said the name I had chosen for the genetically modified AI uplifting cat, who's a major character, Tybalt, as in Romeo and Juliet, was the name of a well-known character in another popular Daw series. Could I change it? So it's still Tybalt, but it's now spelled the French way, T-H-I-B-A-U-L-D, Tybalt. And I even have a joke ready to go when I rewrite the novel to explain that. The cat will say, well, my name used to be Tybalt, but I found the French spelling more aesthetic. Cooper Douglas, my other character, will say, excuse me, will say, why does a cat care about the aesthetics of his name? To which Tybalt will reply, what's more aesthetic than a cat? Something like that. So I am going to make a play on the fact that he used to be called Tybalt, but he's now called Tybalt. They both go back to Reynard the Fox, an old folklore story that has the Prince of Cats, King of Cats in it. His name is Tybert, actually. I don't like that name very much, T-I-B-E-R-T, or sometimes T-Y-B-E-R-T. So that was a possibility, but I didn't really like Tybert. And here's the former Christian Science Church, now the Unitarian Center. So I looked at some other options, and the French spelling Tybalt kind of all relates back to the same thing, Tybalt. They're all related, and I just got sprinkled on by a sprinkler. I didn't see. I saw that the sidewalk was wet, but didn't expect to get sprinkled. It's apartment. Oh, yep, there it is. Apartment building here. So it will grow on me, Tybalt. Tybalt was I don't know what that car was doing. Could have just gone up to the next intersection. Anyway, it's now Tybalt's Tale, the name of my short story in the Shapers of Worlds Volume 2 anthology. Because my short story in that anthology, which, have I mentioned that anthology? Only every time I do this, which I kickstarted earlier this year and features short fiction from authors who were guests during the first year of my podcast, The World Shapers, which is at theworldshapers.com if you want to look it up. Anyway, my short story is a prequel to my novel, The Tangled Stars, which will be out, looks like fall of next year, so about a year from now. I had to write a short description of it for their preliminary marketing. So that's one thing I did in the last couple of days, and revised my biography. See, the sun is behind me. At times it quite washes out the picture. So, Tybalt. I'll get used to it. Tybalt. Old French. Anyway, it all goes back to the Prince of Cats, the King of Cats. Shakespeare even makes that joke about Tybalt being the Prince of Cats. A little fallish here and there. As we go across Robinson Street. Lovely morning, as you can see. You can almost see my, there it is, there's my shadow. Little yellow house. It's more interesting to look at the houses we're going by than to point straight down the road in front of me. That's why I keep turning it to the side. Oh crap, it's recycling day. I don't have my recycling out. Usually there's plenty of time in the mornings. They usually come later, but if that's our recycling truck, I'm a little concerned that maybe I should go home and do recycling. Oh well, I don't have that much recycling anyway. If it has to wait a couple of weeks, it won't hurt anything. I'll get it out as soon as I get home, and hopefully it'll still be in time. It does take them a while. Just went down that way. I assume it's recycling. Yep, definitely. That. Even if I headed back, it might still beat me. I don't know what pattern they follow, but we're going down the alley between Leopold and Angus, and our recycling is in the Angus Crescent Alley, so makes me think likely to have to wait a couple of weeks for my recycling to be picked up. I used to know, it used to be the garbage was picked up first thing, like really early, before 8 o'clock. Recycling would be much later in the morning. That may have changed. Oh well, we'll see. Not the end of the world. Nice little bit of front. Hi Bonnie, haven't seen you on here for a while. I'm walking east to west and west to east through Cathedral today. Morning from Ottawa, Dwight. Not my brother Dwight, the other Dwight. Seeing some color in that. Little blue house. And a pretty little pink house over there. I'm usually walking the other direction when I come by them. And a very blue house over here. Usually I'm walking on the other side of the street, and I mostly notice the big sunflowers and other flowers over there. There's also a post office box almost hidden in the flowers there. Don't trip over the... Don't trip over the sidewalk curb with anyone else but me. Very different house there than most in this neighborhood. And E.T. himself. My notification showed a blank screen. I have no idea what that means and nothing I can do about it. I haven't changed anything, so. Yeah. Hi, how are you? No. I wish. Now we're walking down Elphinstone here briefly before we go back down along on the next street, which is 15th. Fellow that said hi back there, someone I've known quite a while. He's a bit of a science fiction fan. That's why he asked me if I'd won any Hugos, which is a major science fiction fantasy award. Thank you, walking girl. First time I've done it right at 8 o'clock for a few days. Alrighty, around the corner we go. And along 15th Avenue now. Now we're going into the sun. Lots of trees though, so it's not too bad. Okay, sure there's a reason for that. Go to the other side. Again, if you're just joining me, I apologize for the sound. I'm just on the camera mic again today. Continuing to struggle with my lapel mic, which won't charge. So I'll have a brand new one, hopefully tomorrow. Yeah, I have no idea what those boots were about. Oh, here's St. Mary's Anglican Church here. I always like to mention that this sort of gate at the front of the church is called a leach gate, L-I-C-H, lich gate, I guess. A term that I first encountered playing Dungeons and Dragons. It's an it's an undead magic user. So I always think it's funny that the church has a lich gate. It does have something to do with death. Yeah, the microphone on here can work pretty well if it's not windy, although it can do weird things where my voice will suddenly thin out because it's, I think, adjusting to the ambient noise. But I'd much prefer to have a lapel mic, and I will, again, soon, a much better one. A bit more awkward for the amount of stuff I have to attach to the camera to make it work, but I'm expecting great things from it. An apartment building there, or duplex, quartet. What would you call it? A fourplex? No, that's not it. Quadruplex, I guess. Fourplex. It's heading to school. Be going to Davin School. Sorry, the Crescent School. Always be Davin to me. Can't read anything at the moment because the sun's in my eyes. Seem to be on the side that all the kids are walking on. What did you say there? Oh, greetings from India. Hi. Yeah, the sound's not bad on here as long as there's not a lot of wind. And it does pick up ambient sound better, which is a good thing, I guess. But yesterday's sound was quite bad when I listened to it. So I would prefer to improve that. There's the sun in my face again. I think there's actually a setting on the other one. Well, the mic I have works, but only with the app that came with the mic, the one I got, the Bluetooth mic. Which would be fine if all I was doing was recording, but because I want to live stream, it gets more complicated. So you have to have a receiver, which then plugs in with the lightning port, into the lightning port at the bottom of the phone. Essentially the receiver is another microphone, but I can use two microphones for other reasons. There have been times when that would have been a very handy thing to have. So I'm not so worried about that. I got that, but then I discovered I was still missing a cable because you need a microphone cable as opposed to a headphone cable, one with another channel for incoming signals. So now I've got that coming. It's like, $10 or something. Should get it tomorrow, and then I should be able to get my new microphone system running, according to everything I've read anyway. Oh, somebody else is there? Who's there? Janice Wilson. Miss Regina, you love this? Oh, that's good. And the house you grew up in too, Bonnie, huh? This is the neighborhood. We're gonna go up here to Albert, turn the corner, and then come down on 14th to continue this street by street walk. These used to be businesses, now have apartments in them. At least that one did. I think this was in the business. Yeah, well, I know it's a business because it says on the top 1912 hardware. There used to be a hardware store. Almost 110 years ago when it was built. Regina Baha'i Center. I still remember interviewing somebody from that faith in Weyburn. It was at the time of the Iranian Revolution, and they were quite thoroughly persecuted by the Iranians. interviewed, is it a couple maybe? At least an individual. I think it was a couple for the Weyburn Review about all that. That's pushing 40 years ago now, which is hard to believe. In fact, it may have been 40 years ago. I was working at the Weyburn Review 40 years ago as a reporter. Hadn't started too much earlier than that. 41 years ago, I started at the Weyburn Review. But I was only 20. I graduated from university at the age of 20 with my journalism degree. So I could say to my daughter, when I was your age, I'd already graduated from university. I was working as a newspaper reporter. Heck, maybe my lens could use a little cleaning again, but oh well. These big condos over here. That's the back of that apartment building we walked by on College. I can't read the screen at the moment. I know somebody just said something, but I can't see it. The sun's directly in my eyes and no trees along here. It's shadier down there, but I'm not going down the side streets. So I'll have to wait till I turn the corner up here. Albert Street, the main north-south drag. Literally, sometimes, based on the sounds I hear from it at night. We'll take this shortcut. Oh, there's some shade. I just went by that, yeah. Yeah, I just went by it and commented on it. I don't know when you posted that, but maybe just before I did that. The Baha'i Center. I like the way the light reflects from the windows on this side of the street onto the building on that side. I think that's cool. Class Act Studios, where my daughter danced and worked this last year while she was home. Cool lighting effect. Plus a police car. Just for good measure. There's downtown, of course, City Hall. SGI building next to it, to the right. Here's Bodega, which I'm glad to see actually has operating hours posted again, so I guess they are open. I was worried they hadn't survived. I like to go there sometimes if I'm on my own and I need a place to go to eat. That's the closest decent place to walk to. Barring the Thai restaurant on the other side, but I rarely think of that when I'm on my own. Kenora Mall. All right, now we go down 14th. First Presbyterian Church, where we got married. Right there. Also have sung in there many times for concerts. I've mentioned before, but the University of Regina Chamber Singers that I used to sing with always did their concerts there. And she always did it, our Christmas concert, for some reason, year after year, she put on the same day as the Grey Cup game, the Canadian Football League Championship game, which used to drive those of us who were football fans nuts, but she never gave it a second thought, not being interested in football, being a musical type, Dr. Catherine Moran. And, you know, people came, so I guess maybe it didn't hurt our crowds, but still. Oh, who's that? Toby. Hi, Toby. Where are you now, Toby? That's actually the garage. There's somebody in front, so I didn't point the camera at it, but there's a bed and breakfast back there called Dragon's Nest or something like that. It has a dragon sculpture out front. So a bit of a dragon theme. It's not Dragon's Den. That's the daycare that's in Davin School, Davin Dragons, where my daughter went for many years. She was her after-school daycare and sometimes preschool, before school. Yes, I work at home, but I was out or doing this and that, and so it was easier for her to have, when she was too little to just come home, it was easier for us to arrange that. They're about grade 6 maybe, 5 or 6, and then she got to come home. Better to walk down this side because the cars are all on the other side. Mayfair, one of the old apartment buildings over there. Had a fire a few years ago, but it seems to be back in full operation now. Like a basement fire, so it wasn't huge structural damage or anything, but there was smoke damage. Safeway's right down there. We'll go by it the other direction when we turn the corner again. There's Mayfair. I think that one's rental apartments. The one next to it here is condos. We actually looked at one when we were looking at condos. It was pretty nice, but it was on the 3rd floor. There's no elevator. And the floor sloped quite significantly. This used to be a store, which now seems to be a home. Always interesting about that. And this is the apartment building where our grand piano used to live. Up on the top floor, because Madame Burkett, who was the voice teacher who owned the piano back in the 20s, teens and 20s maybe, 20s for sure, didn't like to have anybody above her, so she lived on the 3rd floor of this apartment, which means this grand piano, which belonged to her, had to be carried up and down those stairs when she moved in and out. She went back to England, and Margaret Ann's grandparents bought the piano. There's that one. That one. And it's been sitting in our living room since they did that about, well, they bought the house in 1939. I think the piano came along maybe in the early 50s. And it's been sitting in our living room then for, well, 70 years now. Even when we did renovations, it didn't go anywhere. They built a box around it and put it on wheels and just moved it around as need be. It's a Knabe. William Knabe, K-N-A-B-E. The Knabe was a competitor of Steinway, and in fact was the accompaniment piano of the Metropolitan Opera in New York. It was said to be more voice-friendly than the Steinway, which was more designed for concert work. And we had only the second Kanabe piano. I mean, Madame Burkett had this piano that we have now. It was only the second Kanabe in Regina. The first one belonged to William Riddell, who was president of the University of Regina. Anyway, well, it wouldn't have been the University of Regina when Regina College, I guess, probably. Anyway, that one was, a few years ago, was completely refurbished and is now at the university and used for concerts. We went to the concert when they unveiled it, which is kind of cool because we had one of those. I think that one was brown and ours is black or darker brown. Holy Rosary Community School. It's just behind the cathedral, which is why this is called the Cathedral Neighbourhood. Quite a bit of yellow there. This street doesn't actually go through, but that's okay. We'll adjust as necessary. We'll be going in front of that building momentarily when we go around the corner again. Oop, squirrel. It's always squirrels. There he goes. They always go on the other side of the tree. They're not dumb. I desperately need to get that piano tuned. It's terribly out of tune. I didn't play it much because Alice was home for the last year or so, and that would, you know, she was doing other things, and it would be annoying to have me playing the piano. I'd like to start playing it again, so I need to get it tuned. Okay, as you see, 15th doesn't go through directly. Sorry, 14th. I have to just jog to the right here a bit. There's the cathedral. Through the trees. Seeing a few campaign signs. We've already voted, so nobody's changing my mind at this point. It's already done. Done deal. We were at the advanced polls this last weekend. Picked our timing. There was a Rough Rider game on. That always cuts down the crowds on the streets when people are home watching Rough Rider games. They lost, so we didn't miss anything by not watching it. There's a game this Friday, but we're selling our tickets again. What's that? Ah. I don't know what those streets are called. They're just these little tiny chunks of street that I walk down. I never bothered to look to see what their names were. So I guess this is Pike. Something fishy about that. Now though, having done that, I'm going to go down the other way. So I come out on Elphinstone and don't pop on the 13th too early here. So this is where 14th Avenue picks up again after being interrupted by these houses. Oh, more children. Well, there's always children's artwork along here, which is kind of cool. if there's a daycare or exactly where this comes from. It changes all the time, so. Oof. All right, we turn the corner, then we go down 13th, to Albert one more time, and then home. So this takes us past the new Connaught School. The old one was torn down, it was in bad shape. It was built in 1914 and had a lot of problems. So now the kids have this brand new one. As I say, grown-ups tend to think, oh, they're tearing down that old school, that's such a shame. But if you're a kid and you get to go to this, instead of something built in 1914, you're not upset about it. Bigger than the old one. Let's there we go, Connaught School. This is the main entrance. And then coming up here on the right will be Connaught Library. And we'll walk down 13th, which has lots of stores and things on it. That building over there is new. Not very exciting, but new. This up here used to be a confectionery, but now it's the Happy High Coffee Bakery. Or Happy High, not the Happy High. Bakery and coffee shop. My daughter likes that one a lot. There's Connaught Library. I've done events in there, including my wife and I ran a wine tasting there once. Slate Fine Art Gallery over there. That was other things too. Before it was Slate, it was a CrossFit gym. Cathedral Bistro. Don't know what its status is. I think it was sold and it hasn't reopened as far as I know. But I hope it does. It was always a place we'd like to go. The Creek King Cathedral Bistro. Where the sculpture, who did it, or what it represents, but there's this sculpture here. I don't even know where Upland School was, or is. Greystone Manor. That's funny because my mother lived in Greystone. I think it was called Greystone Manor, but that was in Weyburn. Oh, that's interesting. You see missing pets. That's the first time I've seen a missing drone notice on a lamppost. Apple Street. And one time nuns lived here, now it's condos. I have been in these, they're quite, it's a nice old building. has a lovely old chapel in it too. I've sung in there. There's Groovy Mama over here, which I think is a clothing store. Apartment building. I went on a date with a girl who lived there 30 years ago. Roughly. She's probably older now, unlike me. I still feel like the same guy that went on that date. 13th Avenue Coffee House. I like the mural on the side of that. Here, of course, is the cathedral. There's the schoolyard that we went by over there. And here's Holy Rosary Cathedral. A nice bit of autumn leaves popping up there. There you go. Holy Rosary. They did have a temporary sign out here, which really kind of spoiled the approach, but it's gone now, which is good. They just moved it, or for some reason they decided they didn't need it anymore. More businesses over here. This building on the right side has the Penny University Bookstore, which is a little local bookstore that opened just about the time that the pandemic opened, over on Albert Street, and then moved here. It's very nice. Clothing there. Westminster United Church here. Another one I've sung in. I've also sung in the cathedral. Yep, it's in that building, red brick building. You can't really see it now. Past the green one in the university. Here's Desart Suites. And ice cream. Cathedral Dental Center. These were all apartments of some sort at one point, but mostly businesses now. 33 1/3 coffee roasters, Gales Forest. Brandy's, where I do most of my mailing out of stuff, although I've got a whole bunch of stuff I have to get out for Kickstarter. And I probably won't do that here. I'll probably take that to the main branch because it's a big job. Pacific Fresh Fish, where we buy fish. Safeway over there, where we buy most of our groceries. Down this way there's also a butcher shop that we buy from, and a gourmet food store where we buy cheese sometimes, and chocolate shop, and a restaurant, Orange Cafe. Kind of Vietnamese and Korean. Mercury, which I like because it has a rocket ship on the ceiling, on the roof. Philippine Bakery. Cathedral Pet Store there. Mostly dog. Most pet stores cater mostly to dogs. There's very little cat stuff. The cats don't really care. More Safeway. Cathedral Neighbourhood Center. Been in there many times. It's our new liquor store, Sobeys Liquor Store over there. Just opened a few weeks ago. This is where I went to get my new photo taken for my license last time, I think. Driver's license. So we live down there, but I'm going to keep going to Albert. Stretch this out a bit. Sobeys Liquor Store. That over there used to be the Oddfellows Hall. Something else now. I've performed in there. In an opera, believe it or not. Wearing a giant donkey suit. Those were the days. They completely redid the Safeway, so it's not the old Safeway. This is a nice place, like people like to get ice cream. They also serve coffee. And then there's an indoor restaurant here, which I've never been into. It's been quite popular. The outdoor seating here, people to get ice cream and come over here. It's a coffee shop. I should go in sometime. Burns and Hanley Christian Bookstore, right across from the New Age Bookstore, glaring at each other across 13th, I guess. Cup of tea. Paper Umbrella is a stationery store. Traditions is a craft gallery store, crafts store, I guess. Shoe Clinic. Yeah, it used to be a gallery down on the corner, but it's something else now. Excuse me. Co-op Hale building, it says. Hale Insurance, I guess. The Artesian used to be a church. It's now a performance space. This was our home theater when I was part of the professional theater company, Golden Apple Theater. I was on the board. This is where we did most of our performing, not all. And I've been there for many other things. And there's a nice lounge in the basement that I use for a book launch when I launched my poetry book. I tumble through the diamond dust. So it's not very big. It seats maybe maximum 120 people or something. There's an open floor that you put chairs on or tables if you want to do a dinner theater approach. And there's also old pews still in the raised part at the back. And then there's a balcony too. Fiat Thai. And often order from there. So I walk down in front of the strip mall here. I'll do that. Various things along here. Popeyes, health supplements. The running room. This is a liquor store, distillery really, down here. Silvers. In there, sort of where you can go and have some, just buy it. Number one fire hall over there, karaoke place, Indian bistro, gay club. Art gallery, Nouveau gallery, Excalibur Cat Cafe. Oh, there is a cat there. There's not always one this morning. Oh, he's shy. I'm just saying hello. Usually they're quite happy to look at people who come by, but I guess I startled him. There's Presbyterian again. We're going to go over one block because I already walked along this strip going the other way. Yes, I know I already walked along here too, but this time we'll go down Angus when we get to it. I'm going to go down the alley behind the house and check on the status of the recycling bins. If they haven't been picked up yet, then the first thing I need to do is get my recycling out. If they have, oh well. It's not piling up that fast. Yes, usually the cats in there are very calm and just watch you go by. Maybe he's new to the cat cafe. He's not used to being looked at. Nice and cool and shady on this side. There's condos along here. These are all cherry trees, so it's very pretty along here in the spring. Old houses on the other side. Still some flowers on these bushes. We're a little past our average first frost date. And there's still nothing. I mean, it went to 3 last night. Not last night, the night before. Which, you know, is getting with spitting distance of frost, but it didn't actually frost. So our flowers are really hanging in rows here. Of course, the low building over there was the original Saskatchewan Government Telephones building, and the tall building next to it was the second Saskatchewan Government Telephones. I don't know if it was called SaskTel yet. And now SaskTel has an even bigger building right downtown attached to the Cornwall Centre. Plus another building on Lorne, which has been there for a very long time, which is more of a switching station. It was actually a key part of long distance communications across the country, which is why many years ago now, when the fad was for cities to declare themselves nuclear free zones, it was kind of, well, you know what? There's probably a missile with Regina's name on it simply because of that, and other infrastructure things here, not to mention being a provincial capital. Fortunately, we never found out. And of course, Moose Jaw would definitely be targeted because of the airbase. But the nuclear-free sign out of the city limits was somehow going to protect us. Oh well, that was a previous generation's political silliness. We got plenty of political silliness going around now for the current generation as well. Oh, I forgot about the refinery, yeah. Yeah, no, we were a fairly high value target, I'm afraid. So there's what's now called Crescent School, but will always be Davin School to get above the fence. That's where my daughter went to elementary school, kindergarten to grade 8. There are trees over there really popping out with yellow. So almost to my quitting spot. How long did I manage to stretch this out? 6 minutes, pretty much perfect. To take a look and see if the recycling bins have been emptied yet. And see if I need to bring mine out or not. Morning. Oh, that's true. Oh, look, leaves falling. It's beginning to look a lot like autumn everywhere you go. How about the fence again? Well, let's see. Has recycling been picked up? Not yet, so I can still get it out. Excellent. Okay. All right, well, this is pretty close to us, so I'll go back over here and take a final look at the scroll there to finish with. Can I get it? Oh, there we go. Okay. Okay, so thanks for walking with me or watching the replay, and I'll be back tomorrow. Bye for now.